Thank you very much for coming back for this last session. I know we're all keen to go and get ourselves ready. I know it takes you guys some time longer than us girls to get ready for tonight. So the vision for this final session was to end on something lively, something that we can all take to the bar with us and keep us chatting for the next couple of hours. So John Molyneux and I came up with a bit of a head-to-head. So we now have the head, or the chief of CIWM, against the new chair of Zero Waste Scotland, Mr. Vic Emery. So delighted to have the two of them. They've been told gloves are on. What are you doing sitting? I'm waiting for you to sit there. They're away looking for you. Yeah. So yeah, gloves are on. We need the music from tonight for the award ceremony, the boxing music, and all this to be us. But disappointingly, I think, not predicting anything, I think we're probably quite aligned in everything that's going to be said this afternoon. But we thought we'll take it to the top of the tree and get their perspective on it, not as workers' view. Let's go to the top of the tree. So to start us off today then, Mr. Steve Lee of CIWM.
Right, nearly the anchorman. You've nearly made it. I'd start off with some thank yous. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for Zero Waste Scotland and CIWM Scotland for putting on yet another excellent gig. It never ceases to surprise and delight me. Every year I come here, it's different. Every year over the last 5 or 6 years, it's just got better. I've felt a building sense of momentum. And because of that, I was quite happy to take on this challenge of being nearly the closer for the conference. It's been presented as a head-to-head. I have to say there's a huge difference between Vic and me. Vic has prepared, and I haven't, but you'll just have to suffer for that. I'll start off with an admission. I'm quite honest about this. My name's Steve Lee, and I'm not coping anymore. That's not to say that I blub in the car park every time I leave the office. I do. Some of you have seen me do that. But by not coping, what I mean is that I've been in this business now for well over a quarter of a century, and I spent about the first 20 years coping. Just exactly the same as you did, coping with what business is, with what society threw at us, and coping meant making ourselves look invisible, making ourselves look first of all affordable, then unbelievably cheap, and then frankly almost free. We just coped, and we coped, and we coped. And it wasn't particularly exciting or rewarding, but I guess we got that sort of ready brick kid cosy glow that, hey, don't we cope well? Don't we make people's problems go away for them? But I don't know about you. I hope you're in pretty much the same sort of position as I am now. I've stopped coping. I've had enough of coping. It's about getting onto the front foot. It's not just about recycling either. It's about wanting to influence people, actually getting into their beliefs, making them perform and believe a bit differently, about making them want to buy in to this more sustainable living thing, the circular economy. Trying to bring the concept of circular economy out of the clouds, man, down to a level where we can actually make something happen with it. So it's not an admission, I'm quite proud of it. My name's Steve Lee and I'm not coping. And I honestly think that's why most of you are here today, is because you can feel yourselves making that step. We are no longer a passive coping industry, just taking the proverbial from business and society. And I think that's a good place to have got to. I'm going to bridge out now into a couple of sound bites. In this position, it's always good either to have a joke. No, you're looking at Steve Lee, or to have a couple of sound bites that you've stolen from somebody else. The first was from Ian McCauley of Viridor. It really chimed with me. He said a couple of things that I really liked. The first thing he said, apart from hello, was there's no single fix. There's no magic bullet solution here. It's actually a million fixes. We've all got lots of things to do that fit together to make this bigger picture, this more sustainable way of living, way of managing what are indeed finite resources on this planet. So he said that there's no single fix. That didn't, of course, stop Ray Georgeson asking the single fix question of the Cabinet Secretary when he was in front of us earlier on. And he said, what's your favourite bullet? What's your favourite policy initiative? What are you most proud of in your period of tenure as the Cabinet Secretary? I thought, oh, God, Ray's gone and asked him the forbidden question. It's like asking somebody, out of your family, who's your favourite child? Well, I guess we've all got different favourite kids day to day. Well, one of them will really annoy you one day and they'll be the ascending star the next day. And the one that you loved yesterday, you're absolutely larraping today because they've annoyed you. Actually, I thought the Cabinet Secretary came up with a pretty slick answer. You can see why he's a politician and I'm not. Because using the family analogy, what he said was he hadn't got a favourite kid, really. What he liked was the family, the whole ethos. He liked the idea that bound it all together. He was most proud of the zero waste strategy and the way that the ideas and the initiatives fit into the family. It was the family fit that he liked. I really liked that. So I was actually quite glad that Ray had asked such a blatantly clumsy question. I'll let him get away with that. And the other thing that Ian Macaulay said that chimed big time with me was he said, for him, it was all about now a sense of leadership within the industry and management. It's about having that link between big think, vision, policy, initiatives, management, make it happen. And we are a make it happen industry. We are a show me industry as well. But fortunately for us now, there's a lot more that we can go out and look at. There's best practice all around us. And we are increasingly in a position, I think, where we can pick up that baton and actually run with it and run with it effectively. Second soundbiter was Sandy Rogers. I really enjoyed listening to Sandy today. I don't know about you, I've been one of the people who's been saying, well, you know, to be honest with you, I'm not sure I want to sit through another 25-minute presentation about the big think on circular economy, blue sky stuff. So much to aim for, man. We're all going to live in a fantastic world where all of these materials are going to go round and round the cycle, and we don't need any new stuff, and we're not getting rid of any old stuff, but never actually bringing it down to a tangible level where you say, actually, I can get hold of that idea. I know that idea, actually, that fits into another one that I've got here, and that means that I can do something over here. And in listening to Sandy Rogers today, I got a real sense now that the ideas are coming out of the stratosphere, down through the clouds, back down to where normal people live, work, think, do. And what I wanted was a growing sense now that we are an industry that's been put into a position where not only we can do stuff and do it better, but we can take new people with us because we've got to influence people. It's not just about what we do tomorrow. We've got a whole set of industries, a whole public to take with us. So I really liked listening to Sandy today, and I hope that you liked that too. Now then, what did I like about your Cabinet Secretary? He struck me as a man capable of making and holding a vision, working within a government and with partners to turn that vision into policy. And what I heard today was that vision and policy being turned into initiatives, and I really like that because vision, policy, initiatives means that we're ready, hopefully, to take the baton now and actually do stuff differently with new partners. Because what Sandy Rogers said was this isn't a game of solitaire. And he's absolutely right. You know, we can talk to people within the core of our industry anytime we want. Certainly I can. I'm really lucky. I'm the Chief Executive of CIWM, for those who didn't know. That means that I've got the Willy Wonka golden ticket to go pretty much anywhere that I want within this industry, talk to people, hear what they're doing, how they're getting on, what are your problems, what do you wish your institution is doing. But I've also got a Willy Wonka ticket, and I think you have too, that allows you to move outside of the core sector. We need now to start talking to the people who make and retail the pies that we eat, the cars that we drive in, the products and services that we buy, all of that other stuff going on in society around us, because there, just as much as within our industry or within CIWM, that's where the difference is going to start being made. And that's a brilliant position to be in. And I get a sense of not just vision, policy, initiative from your Cabinet Secretary. I heard a man that was prepared to continue to put energy and ideas and commitment, keep the momentum up in Scotland. He started off with a relatively downbeat message. He said he was a bit sorry that the most recent recycling figures were 42%. But when we looked at that when it came out last month, we said, don't panic, this isn't the time to go overboard. It's 42% and rising. We can see the ideas, we can feel the momentum. We honestly believe that Scotland is moving in the right direction and will continue to move in the right direction. I don't get that feeling everywhere else around the United Kingdom and elsewhere, I have to tell you. Those of you who were at the RWM exhibition 4 or 5 weeks ago, you will have got a flavour of what it's like south of the border, where the vision, the ideas, the momentum, the belief in what needs to be delivered really isn't shining through. And we get that from the Whitehall approach to the ideas that are coming out of Europe at the minute. I suspect Scottish government, Scottish people looked at that Commission communication and they thought, yeah, I chime with that. Yeah, that's right. That's the sort of direction we're moving in. That's an idea we've already had. I suspect you saw quite a lot to admire and to work with in that European Commission communication. Not quite sure that we've got exactly the same sort of feel coming out of England in particular. And I have to tell you that yesterday was the debate of the European Environment Ministers about that package. 18 of the European Environment Ministers said, we can see where the package is going, but to be honest with you, we're a little bit worried about these big targets. Well, blimey, you guys in Scotland must look at these targets and say, I recognise that. I remember where that came from. There must be an awful lot in that package that you automatically chime with. And I was really quite surprised and delighted to hear the strength of the message from your Cabinet Secretary when he said, it's not much fun trying to talk and work with Europe being muffled by having to talk through a superior tier of government. Now that must be really frustrating, but I liked his approach to that as well. Look, there's an informal system that we have to learn. There's a game that we have to play here. There are new partners that we have to work with at a European level, never mind at the meat pie manufacturing level. Again, I thought that was a pretty slick political answer. I can see why he's a politician, and I'm not. What Linda's hoping is that you walk away from this gig punching the air rather than each other or politicians or whoever else it is that you blame for not allowing you to do the perfect job. I'll be honest with you, I think you're a bit away from being able to walk away from any gig, punch in the air, saying we've done it, we've arrived, it's all done now. We all live in a new world. I think that's some time coming. There are hard yards ahead, and you know that as well as I do. We've all got a role to play in those hard yards, and I think there are two tricks to it. Again, chime in with stuff that people said earlier on yesterday and today. First of all, we've got to stick to our strengths. We've got to do what we're good at. And for CIWM, the four main tenets of CIWM working for the body of knowledge that is our members: information, skills, best practice and influence. Now, I'm not going to steal our President's thunder, A, because he's sat right underneath my nose and he'll get very angry with me if I do. But last week, our President, John Quinn, from ARC21 Northern Ireland, launched this report, which is a report about CIWM in the industry moving towards a circular economy. Now, I really have to give a fantastic advert for the fact that John is going to be appearing in London next Tuesday, I think, Tuesday the 4th. He's going to be giving a little bit more meat around these bones, so I'm not going to steal his meat, but I am going to say information. CIWM, its members, the people that we work with, we've got to get more serious about information, not just waste information, resource flow information. If you push me hard, I'll give you an advert for EDOC. I know that SEPA is very serious about EDOC, what it can achieve, what it's there for, information. We've got to start building our decisions, our infrastructure, our actions, the things that we want other people to do on real information rather than guesswork. Guesswork does not pass the blush test in my book. Information, skills. Don't know whether you know, CIWM trains far more people now outside of the core sector than in. It's changed dramatically in 10 years. We are training the people who make meat pies. We are training the people who design industrial systems to make the goods, products, services that we use. We're telling them to be aware about waste, its costs, its impacts, why they should be interested in it, what their role is in cutting waste, in being more resource efficient. I think that's a good message for the whole industry. We have got to work with other people. We've got to affect the way that they work. Best practice, again, we're influencing inside and outside of the core sector, and we will continue to do so. And influencing, well, I've gone whole circle again, haven't I? CIWM, you, Scottish Government, doesn't really matter who you are, you're part of this movement, and we've got an awful lot of people to influence, from European politicians through to my mum, your next door neighbour, and the bloke who welded the last meat pie that you ate. We've got to help them to be better performers. I'll finish on three things I know you picked out of what your Cabinet Secretary said to you earlier on, and you know that I'm going to touch on these because they were real high points for me. First, he talked about the development of a national materials brokerage here in Scotland, the first in the British Isles to take that step. I know that Welsh Government is interested in making exactly the same step. I think the only down note that I can pick out of that is that I'm not at all sure that Scottish thinkers have been talking to Welsh thinkers. It's the same idea, guys, and what works well in one place is almost certain to be a good pattern for what works elsewhere. We've got to learn to share best practice ideas. We've got to influence each other. But I love the idea. Second was the development of a Scottish Remanufacturing Institute at Strathclyde. Actually, its name changed as he went through his presentation. I think it had 2 or 3 different names in the 15 minutes he spoke. Who cares about the name of the band? It's the music that they play that really matters. And I think that there's an opportunity for something to come out of that the whole of the rest of the UK and British Isles will have to sit up and take notice of. You know, this isn't just going to be a message relevant to Scotland. This is going to be a message that's relevant to all of us. So good luck with that. I look forward to good stuff coming out of that. And the last thing he said, I was surprised how strident he was about it. It was about Scotland wanting, needing, forging a clear voice in Europe. Good on you, man. It's really important that we influence at all levels. And if there's anything that I or CIWM can help him or the country of Scotland to do that, then I would be only too happy to do it. Right, there's me. I've gabbled through my 15 minutes. I've had a fantastic time. I hope you've had a good gig too. One day I hope you will walk out of this room, punch in the air, saying job done, and we can all go and do something that is closer to our hobbies and our loved ones. But look, this is serious business. This is what we do, not just because it's a job, but because we believe in it. But at least you're not going out of this room trying to punch each other or swing at the minister because you were deeply upset by what he said. And I'll end up with that tough message. There are hard yards ahead. You'd be foolish to pretend otherwise. But look, there's an awful lot of good that's been said and done over these last 2 days, and that comes from an awful lot of good that's going on between people's ears, right from your cabinet secretary down to, I don't know, you tell me who's at the bottom of the pile. I've had a good gig. I hope you've had a good gig. I thank you very much to Linda and the team who made this all possible. My name's been Steve Lee. I've stopped coping. Good night.
And that is why Steve Lee is the Chief Executive of CIWM. And to follow that then, we have the new Chair of Zero Waste Scotland, Mr Vic Emery.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Linda, and to Steve. Steve for his summing up, and Linda for that very short and brief introduction. I think it's a message for me to get this done quickly. You all deserve a gold star for staying the course, as it were, and I hope I'll see you all at dinner this evening. But it does fall to me almost to bring the curtain down on today, the last couple of days' conference. Ian, of course, will get up after me and say a few words to you. But again, reiterating what Steve has said, I hope you've enjoyed your time over the last couple of days. I've been in and out of the conference. I have to confess that I wasn't here the whole time, but I really enjoyed what I heard. And I have to say, rather than a fight between Steve and I, gloves off and all that stuff, there's hardly a fag packet between what I believe and what he has said. As you've heard, I took over as not only the chair of Zero Waste Scotland, but the first chair of Zero Waste Scotland. So this event has come as a great opportunity for me. It's helped me to get up to speed with some of the major issues that you've been facing as a fraternity. And it's also been really inspiring to meet so many people. Many of you, I will not remember your names. It's an age thing. But I'm sure over time I'll get to know you very well. But it's good because everyone has the same agenda, and that is to create a zero-waste society in Scotland. I thought, since I'm new to the game, it might be helpful if I just said a few words about myself. I am a professional career person. I spent my life as an industrialist and a businessman, so-called. I always like to think I made money at it. But there was one small exception when I did veer off into the circular economy, as you say. But mostly my time was spent building warships, and I've done that on 3 continents. And I've built the Canadian Navy, the Malaysian Navy, and a few others besides, before settling here on the Clyde with BAE Systems. The one small involvement with waste and recycling that I did have was as the CEO and chairman of a company in Canada that was developing new technologies for recycling tyres. So I do have some first-hand experience, very hard felt, of the challenges around innovation, funding that innovation, and the markets that you all face. So I have some sympathy with the challenges that you have. But it's equally fair to say that as I stand here today, I can probably tell you more about the price of a nuclear submarine than I could for the price of a bale plastic bottles. Latterly, I've taken on a number of roles in public service, chiefly as the chair of the Scottish Police Authority and president of the Chamber of Commerce in Glasgow, but also as the final chair of the Edinburgh Trams project, which most people go, ugh, as soon as I say that, and the founding chair of New Campus Glasgow, which is the big building that many of you will see being erected on Cathedral Street right now. But it's fair to say that I have a reputation as the guy who gets brought in to fix things when they've collapsed or something needs sorting out. And those of you that have kept up with the debates in the press, because the press seem to know more than I do, about armed policing in Scotland, you will know that I don't walk away from difficult situations. So the thing that's quite refreshing for me is in this new role is the fact that Zero Waste Scotland isn't broken and clearly doesn't need fixing. This is an industry with an agenda that is clearly going places. The room this morning was absolutely packed, and that was very encouraging to see. And the whole story is powerful, and we must all join in together to tell that story. If anything, the job is about being more bullish and selling the message to a wider fraternity. We need to make it absolutely clear that the circular economy is here to stay as part of Scotland's industrial future. That's obviously a key theme that you've heard a lot about over the last 2 days. And it's clear to me that as an industrial agenda, it can deliver economic benefits. But perhaps we need to be better and smarter at how we quantify those. It's not just about creating X number of jobs. It's about what the value of those jobs, how highly skilled those jobs are, and how it benefits the local communities and the economies. It's clear though, as Steve has said, that the time is right, and we're in a good place to launch from that. We shouldn't be in denial about all the problems that we've had, because we're on a very good launch platform. Now, what emerges from the discussions on more powers for the Scottish Parliament, whatever happens there, it's quite clear that there'll be no going back to the status quo. So there is an opportunity to develop and deliver on some of the possibilities touched on over the last 2 days. We have heard a really positive message coming from the Minister, a continuing commitment from the Scottish Government to the long-term direction of zero waste, and a statement of intent about the next steps towards a circular economy. Let's not lose sight of how important that policy framework is. Other parts of the UK just don't have it. It gives us all a solid foundation and sends a signal that we are open for business on this agenda. It's down to ourselves and you as an industry to make the best of that opportunity. So the call today from the Minister to us all is to up our game on recycling. We're supporting the Zero Waste Task Force and working directly with councils. But if you think there's more that we can do by working in partnership, then we should look at where we can do that and work together. The theme of partnership is also an important one that we've heard a lot about today. The materials brokerage service, which was announced today, will be an important opportunity for collaboration. Similarly, Zero Waste Scotland will have a key collaborative role working with both environmental and economic development agencies to drive forward a cohesive circular economy programme for Scotland. It's also important that we keep up momentum through action on the ground. So tell us where we can help with that to help you. Firstly, we need to keep the conversations started today perhaps, or yesterday, we need to keep those going. Beyond that, there are a number of specific packages of work that you could get involved in with us, from Scotland's resource commitment for the waste management sector or our resource efficiency pledge for mainstream businesses. One really interesting opportunity is about marrying up those of you who design, make and sell products with those of you who deal with them as waste at the end of the life cycle of those products. We are starting a project to do just that, and we hope it will lead to practical changes in how we design products and how we manage them as waste. And of course, we also have the means to invest in initiatives that will make a big difference through our Scottish Recycling Fund and other opportunities. The other key opportunity ahead is the consultation process announced by the Minister today for the government's circular economy roadmap. It's clear that it's about looking for a broad range of views from right across the economy. Through the process alone, people will become switched on to the new ways of thinking. And as Steve has said, this is all about cultural change and the way we do things and the way we can sell the story and encourage people to behave differently. And that's exactly what a circular economy needs. I think it's really important that as an industry, we all collectively see this as a positive opportunity. I'm still learning and feeling my way around, but it is very clear to me that there's a big story to tell, but maybe we could tell it a bit better. The industries that we have seen the most exciting growth and strongest political support for in recent years here in Scotland, like renewable energy or food and drink, have all done a good job by presenting a positive, strong and united front. So let's not let the differences get in the way of our ambitions as well. There's clearly plenty that we can be getting on with in order to progress our joint agenda. And I hope that you have been inspired and spurred into action by some of the things you've heard over the last couple of days. I've really enjoyed the brief time that I've been here. I've enjoyed listening to the lectures that have been given, and I've enjoyed meeting all of you, and I hope that this is the start of a very good relationship between us all so that we can all aim for the same objective at the end of the day. I want to hand over to Ian now, who will, I didn't close the curtain, but I'll allow Ian to close the curtain. So thank you again for making me feel welcome over the last few days, and I hope I'll see much more of you, particularly at dinner tonight, where I hope to be able to raise a glass with you to toast the awards for the ceremony tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vic and Steve, for really summing up, I guess, 2 days. So it kind of leaves my role slightly redundant, I guess, but there's some formal bit I'd like to do in terms of the thanks. But yeah, I would like to, as ever, give a couple of reflections of my own, if I may, very briefly, I promise. I think it's been a great event, personally. I think I really enjoyed it. I think there's fantastic stuff going on in Scotland. I think that's been, it was talked about yesterday, perhaps we don't do enough of the communicating about all the good things that are happening, all the progress that's being made, the new stuff, the new initiatives, and also the new people. I think that's, for us, I think I was talking about this as the 13th event, and the fact that the audience is broader, much broader in terms of the sectors, in terms of the reach, out with just the sort of traditional waste management industry into new areas is really, really significant, and even more so, I think, this year. So I think we should see that as a success as well, that this agenda is not just compartmentalised in the sort of waste management Cinderella service that Steve alluded to, it is becoming much more mainstream across all businesses. The thing I was going to reflect on was up there, the evolution or revolution, which was the kind of theme for the event. And I was kind of, for those of you who know me from my previous roles, I guess, I always thought I was more of a revolutionary than an evolutionary. In fact, I think I debated something here, one of these events many years ago, and kind of got told off for kind of, vive la revolution and all that sort of stuff, and flying the red flag. And I was kind of told, no, we should have evolution here. We should have evolution with firm foundations, and that's how you build progress and stuff. So I guess it's obvious that, from what we've heard already, and particularly those who were here yesterday from Ian Macaulay, it's not about absolutes. It's possibly there's a bit of evolution going on and revolution. Perhaps, going back to yesterday when Francis spoke, some of the things that Francis said probably made a few of us want to be more revolutionary and get out there. We didn't like some of the things she said, or the trends she was alluding to. Fired up a few people. A few people did, certainly last night, talking to a few people. Yeah, let's we need to do more, and we need to do it quickly. But as Ian said, it is about no absolutes. There is often an evolution going on. He was very much painting that picture from an industry point of view, from a waste industry point of view. There is an evolution going on in terms of the services and the way that they're beginning to shape their future delivery as waste industry, taking on board where we're going. And obviously we're hearing today from the Cabinet Secretary, about new initiatives. Of course, this is the place for new announcements. But, for those of you who are not in Scotland, there's, the Cabinet Secretary is continually engaged in this, going right throughout the year, and there's new things happening all of the time, new thinking, new proposals coming forward. So maybe in Scotland it's just that the evolution is happening so quick that it feels like a bit like a revolution to ourselves and possibly the outside world sometimes. So, as I said, it's not about absolutes. So the question I had was, what's holding us back? And I scribbled some things down, really from the first couple of sessions, thinking, how can we actually progress this? And there were kind of common themes, and they've been touched upon already, so I'm not going to labour them, but, collaboration was obviously, partnership was talked about, even right from the off, about, the fact that we all need to work together on this now. It's such a significant agenda. It's summed up again by Sandy today about, the circular economy going forward is not a game of solitaire. So I guess that is happening now. You can see it, the fact that we're all here together, debating not just what's happening now, but the future collaboration, and I can see that happening outside in terms of the networking, that we've got that partnership attitude now, and in terms of a culture as well, I think it's now well established that we're all working together. Skills have been talked about, and again, Steve's mentioned this. That came out. I think 2 speakers in a row talked about skills yesterday, and I think we can't lose sight of that. I always say that if we're going to build the zero waste economy or the circular economy going forward, we need to have the right skills to make that happen, and those skills might, with every respect, might not be in this room. Those skills we might have to bring in from outside, but more importantly, the young people and the people coming through need to have those skills. So when we get to 2025 and 2030, those skills are embedded in not just our industry, but in society as a whole. So I don't think we should lose sight of that. And okay, we are doing stuff in that arena already, but maybe we do need to do a little bit more. One of the things that comes back to me, touch upon in a few sessions, is about finance and where's the money coming and how are we going to afford this, etc. And it is about affordability. And I guess that's the point for me about, we do need to think about, and I guess that's where I think there is we do need to have new systems of finance. Perhaps we have squeezed as much out of the current financial system that supports recycling and resource efficiency as much as we can. We've heard from local authorities and the pressures they're under. We probably do need a new way of financing what we're all doing or we're all trying to achieve. Because I think we all agree that this is the way forward. We heard from, not just the Minister, from lots of speakers that this is where we need to be going. Circular economy, driving the economy, creating jobs, employment and prosperity for all. And we all believe that's the right thing. I think the question is how do we make that affordable? How do we make sure that the kind of finance lines or the supply of money to make that happen is affordable? So maybe that's where we need the revolution. Maybe that is where it's not an evolution of current financial systems, but a revolution. So I throw that out there. But it is about, we are in a different place. I think that's what comes out of this event, that we are in a different place from where we've been. Even last year, we're in a different place in terms of regulations in Scotland and things that have happened. And I says it sums up, my summing up was one of the slides Vicente did from Spain. He put up and talked about, from the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, and saying, by heck, we're not in Kansas anymore. And I really do believe that we are not in the same place we used to be. We're in a different place. So welcome to that new world. And it sounds really exciting. It feels very exciting. And look forward to going forward with everyone together. So really, to finish is really just to say the thanks, I guess. I'd like to, on behalf of all of the speakers, some of you are here, some of in the audience, some unfortunately couldn't stay for the 2 days, so I'd like to thank them on behalf of Zero Waste Scotland and CIWM Scotland. Obviously, like again to thank the sponsors, Viridor, British Heart Foundation, ACE UK. As I said before, it doesn't really happen without those sponsors. AlviPro as well for the bursaries, for the local authority bursaries. I'll also, I know Linda will probably say some more about it tonight, but I'd obviously like to thank Green Agenda for the sponsoring the dinner tonight. So for those of you who are coming along, look forward to seeing you there as well. The reception starts at 7 o'clock. I'll be in the bar slightly earlier than that. If anybody wants to buy me a drink, feel free. Getting a bit thirsty standing up here. But yeah, it's as I said, the main event, obviously the 2 days is over, but we've still got some, more networking to do tonight and socialising and celebrating, and that's another, I think, key part of what I'd like to say. It's time that we do celebrate, shout loud and high, loud and clear about what's happening here in Scotland, and the awards tonight will hopefully allow us to do more of that. So just to sum up, obvious things, evaluation sheets, always good, we put this on every year. It's always good to get feedback on what works, what doesn't work, so we can shape that going forward. Reuse the badges, do all that sort of thing on the way out the door, shake people's hands, take cards, keep the networking going. It is about collaboration and working together. So safe journey home, everyone, and thank you again for coming. Thank you.